Hi there, I'm Professor Blackmore and welcome back to my channel. And I'm coming back to you today to talk about something, honey child. This ain't for children, okay? Because I'm coming back to you to talk about so-called apostle, Demiro Johnson from the Greensboro, North Carolina Church of Apostolic Saints. And now this is another case of a no good, dirty, low-down church house pedophile disguised as a so-called preacher in the person of Demiro Johnson, who allegedly engaged in sexual intercourse with his 14-year-old spiritual daughter, who was later determined to be pregnant. Now, you know how they like to use that spiritual daughter. In addition, it is also alleged that Demiro Johnson engaged in numerous homosexual activities, of which you will not believe when you hear them. So now, let me go back to the young 14-year-old child and the reason that Demiro Johnson finds himself on today's docket of the ProfessorBlackmore.com courtroom. And that is because on or about January the 5th, 2023, in his efforts to escape his dirty deeds, allegedly, in North Carolina, he was arrested at the Hartsfield Atlanta Airport in Georgia. And if you Google this case, you won't be able to find any news outlets in North Carolina or Georgia doing any reporting on this case, which is totally unbelievable to me. And so I don't like to report on social media gossip, but since he was arrested as a result of the North Carolina arrest warrant, it was necessary for the Georgia court to hold an extradition hearing pursuant to Article 4 of the United States Constitution. And as a result of all of that, I was able to pull the court docket sheet that substantiates some of the facts of this case. And so that provided me with enough facts so that I could be able to bring this to you all, because you know, I don't just bring any kind of riffraff on here. Now, during an extradition hearing, only one of two things can happen. The offender can either waive extradition or challenge extradition. And if you waive extradition, the requesting jurisdiction, in this case, North Carolina, will have a set period of time to take custody of the offender. And if not, he can be released. Otherwise, the state of Georgia would have to bear the financial responsibility of detaining the offender on an indefinite timeline. Okay, and so that is the reason that these particular rules are in place. Now, if you decide to challenge extradition, you'll have to pay the full amount in cash of the bail set by the judge in the arrest warrant in the requesting state, in this case, which is North Carolina. Now, on January the 9th, 2023, as you can see here on the docket sheet, Demiro Johnson waived extradition, and it is my understanding that he has now been returned to the state of North Carolina. And as a result of direct information that I directly obtained from the Clayton County Detention Center in Georgia, where he was being held, the North Carolina law enforcement officials took custody of Demiro Johnson on January 17th, 2023, and transferred him back to the Guilford County Jail in High Point, North Carolina, where he is being held on 4 counts of statutory rape on a bail in the amount of $1 million, which can be posted with a secured surety bail bond, which would cost about $100,000 if my math is correct. He would need to pay 10% of the $1 million bail amount. Now, it's logical that my experience defending criminal and civil defendants leaves me a little bit skeptical when I first start hearing a whole lot of unsubstantiated facts on social media. But when you see these charges along with the amount of bail, you start saying, well now, what in the hell is going on here? In addition, at the same time, I'm also pretty confident that the criminal investigators must have been able to conduct a DNA test in order to have enough evidence to obtain an arrest warrant, or they had enough evidence to convince a judge that they needed to arrest him in order to conduct the DNA test, in the event that he would not be willing to provide them with the opportunity to conduct the DNA testing voluntarily. Now, at this time, I do not have enough substantiated facts to say which of the two is true, and I do not know if investigators actually have enough evidence to say that Demiro Johnson is the father of the child. But a judge somewhere thinks that they have enough evidence to establish that he had sex with the 14-year-old child. Now, after these allegations regarding the 14-year-old popped up, Demiro Johnson met a woman, and after a brief 4-month relationship, he proposed to her and they were married sometime in August of 2022. But it is my understanding that after learning of all of this, his wife has since filed for divorce. And so I'm going to let you see the evidence that I have seen and heard so that you can decide whether you think these allegations are true. And the first piece of evidence comes from Demiro Johnson's own Facebook Live video, which has since been deleted. And so let's check it out.
Good afternoon and good evening. Good afternoon and good evening. I am not going to be before here long, but I am going to get on here very briefly. And I'm going to say what I have to say, and I'm going to log off. I know that several of you all are going to come and want to be nosy and run back and report and tell everything, which, hey, it's all fine. It's all dandy. This live is not to be catty. It's not to be, it's not to try to pinpoint nothing out. It's not to even go in details about anything. This status is number one, or this live number one is to, number one, say that I'm very thankful for all of the ones that have been praying for me. I know I have some that really have my back and really have my corner, and I want to just say thank you. I know that everybody does not have my back. I know that everybody does not, is not in my corner. Thank you so much, Marshall Slade. I know that everybody is not in my corner. I know that people that I thought had my back and people I thought was in my corner, people I thought was friends, people I thought was family, have turned on me. And let's just be honest. Hey, that's something serious. It's something that, you know, it would make people question. Hey, Kia, how are you? It would make people question. Thank you so much, Bishop Timothy Ratliff. It's something that it would make people question. Let's just call a spade a spade. It is something that it would make people question. I've seen a lot of the posts. I've seen a lot of the shares. I've heard a lot of the comments. I've seen a lot of the comments. I've seen the bloggers live and all this. But my job is, I'm not getting on here for all of that. I'm getting on here to say this, okay? Number one, I'm thankful for everybody that's praying for me. Not P-R-E-Y, not praying for my failure. Not praying for my demise, but praying for me. Not the apostle, not the pastor, not the prophet. This ain't got nothing to do with my title. This has to do with me as a human being, as Demiro. wasn't going to do this because I know people, immature people would take this and say, oh, child, what he got to say, what he got to talk about, child, let's log on real quick, tag this person, text that person, let them know he's on. Let me tell you, half of you now, I care less, okay? I'm just going to be honest. I care less about it, okay? My whole thing is I come on here to tell people that I'm thankful for you praying for me. I come on here to tell people that God is still yet God. God is still yet God. A lot of people think that I've cut you off. I haven't cut a lot of people off. I've just been very quiet. I shut my Facebook down. Some people thought that I defriended them or befriended them. I didn't befriend a lot of people. I deactivated my page. That's all that was. I deactivated my page. Love you, Pastor Walker. You know, I miss my baby. You know, and, you know, there are a few people that I miss, that I love, that I know have my back. Just because I may not call names, because I'm quite sure that's what people are waiting for. Let's see what name he called. Let's see who he called, so then we can get in their inbox and try to see what kind of dirt we can get up on him. Hey, Sister Tamika Stone, how are you? Hey, Sheila Miller, how are you? Like I said, this live is not to be catty. It's not to be petty. It's not to be messy. It's not to try to pinpoint nobody or take the heat off of me. That's not what this live is about. Okay? A lot of people, let's just be honest, like I said before, a lot of people think this live is, he getting ready to tell his side of the story. He getting ready to tell. I'm still remaining quiet. Hey, son, how are you? I'm still remaining quiet. Thank you, Jared. I'm still remaining quiet. I'm still remaining quiet. I'm still remaining quiet. As bad as it hurt, I'm still remaining quiet. Have there been people praying for me? Yes. Has there been people checking up on me? Yes. Do everybody mean me good? No. I know that. So I'm not shocked. I'm not surprised. I'm not, after a while, when you're so used to getting hurt, it becomes a numb feeling. One thing I learned is that when the enemy, thank you, cousin, when the enemy plays dirty, he fights unfair. Thank you, Bishop Porter. When the enemy fights dirty, he plays unfair. The enemy takes time and he watches you. He watches your every move. Hey, Aunt Sam, thank you. The enemy watches your every move. He watches your weak moments. He knows your strong moments, your weak moments, your good moments, your bad moments. The enemy watches. And can I be honest? It is what it is. I'm still anointed. God has still called me. You can be the Pope. You can be the president. Everyone has had some type of proclivity. Everyone has had some type of issue. Everyone has had something to go on in their life. Everyone has had a secret somewhere. Everyone has done something. Everyone has. Everyone has. So I'm not getting on here to take the heat off of me. I'm not getting on here to put the blame on nobody, because guess what? When you do wrong, there's a price that you have to pay. That applies for me, President Latin, Biden, the Pope, anybody. There's a consequence for everything in life, good and bad. I said it. There's a consequence for everything in life, good or bad. If you do something bad, there's a consequence. If you do something good, there's a consequence, a good consequence, but it's still a consequence. There's an action for every action that we take in life. I know so many people have so many questions, and so many people have asked questions and had private conversations within other people and within themselves. And I know that several people have tried reaching out to me, and I've just been quiet. Doesn't mean I'm hiding. Doesn't mean I'm running. Doesn't mean I'm scared.
Now, I was still skeptical until he said everybody suffers from some type of proclivities, that there are consequences for actions, and that he was not doing this live to take the heat off of him. That's just kind of struck me as an odd thing to say if all of this is untrue. And you may be trying to understand how he was able to have access to someone's 14-year-old daughter. Well, it is my understanding that at the time the child was 15 years old and 22 weeks pregnant, the mother of the 14-year-old child stated that her daughter told her on Saturday, August the 20th, 2022, about her pregnancy, and that Demiro Johnson is the father. Now, the mother states that her 15-year-old daughter and her other children had attended Demiro Johnson's church since 2019, but that she, the mother of all of these children, never attended. Now, upon learning of the pregnancy from her daughter, the mother said that she also learned that Demiro Johnson had been having sex with her daughter since her daughter was 14, before she turned 15 in March of 2022. Now, the mother said her daughter told her that the first 2 times Johnson had sex with her was in October of 2021 at Demiro Johnson's apartment in Greensboro, North Carolina. The mother states further that her son, who is 17 years old, was an armor bearer for Demiro Johnson at his church. In addition, the mother also subleased a home from Johnson in November of 2021. And so the mother states further that she found text messages in her daughter's phone in which the child tells Demiro Johnson, quote, "Happy 5 months," end quote. In addition, there are also other allegations that I cannot substantiate from numerous individuals who state that Demiro Johnson was also a father figure to them. Spiritual daughters, spiritual sons, armor bearers, all of that. And sometimes, due to them being in church late, they would all crash at his place overnight and go home the following day. Now, the 15-year-old told her mother that in October of 2021, she and her brother were over at Demiro Johnson's apartment in Greensboro, North Carolina, and that Demiro Johnson told them that other children from the church were coming to the apartment to spend the night as well. Demiro Johnson allegedly told the 15-year-old that she and her brother could sleep in his room. He stated that the other people that were to be coming would sleep in his daughter's room and some would sleep downstairs. Now, the mother said that her daughter and son were in Johnson's room watching TV, but the other children who were supposed to come over to the apartment never showed up. The mother states further that her daughter said that Demiro Johnson told her and her brother that they didn't have to leave his room and that they could stay in there with him. Now, after the mother's son fell asleep, she said her daughter told her that Demiro Johnson put his arms around her and asked her if she was comfortable. The mother states further that her daughter told her that Demiro Johnson allegedly asked the then 14-year-old if she was scared, and he started rubbing his hands down the child's back and kissing her. The mother states that Demiro Johnson allegedly again asked her daughter if she was comfortable and had ever let a man kiss her, and her daughter answered him saying no. The mother stated that her daughter said that Demiro Johnson allegedly told her that he would take it slow with her and that he would get her comfortable. She said her daughter told her that she just sat there because she didn't know what to do. The mother stated further that her daughter told her that Demiro Johnson allegedly pulled her pants down, pulled her to the floor, and got on top of her, and he allegedly started penetrating her. Now, the mother stated that her daughter told her that she told Demiro Johnson that it hurt. The mother also stated that her daughter told her that Demiro Johnson allegedly asked if she wanted him to stop and that he would take it slow on her. And before her daughter could say anything, he allegedly kept penetrating the then 14-year-old child and started going slower. Now, the mother states that her daughter told her that after he started going slow for a little bit, it was over. Now, the mother also states that Demiro Johnson allegedly attempted to establish a sexual relationship with her son's 16-year-old ex-girlfriend in the past, and that the young girl told Demiro Johnson that he was too old for her. Notwithstanding, however, this particular young child stated that Demiro Johnson allegedly kept pursuing her, as you can see in this alleged text message exchange between Demiro Johnson and that particular child. Now, during this same August of 2022 time period, when the mother of the 14-year-old learned of these allegations from her daughter, members of Demiro Johnson's church told her that on or about August the 9th, 2022, that he traveled to Las Vegas, at which time he married a lady by the name of Chianne Craven. And so now, let's hear from his wife, who in my opinion has all of the evidence, honey child, that will go a long way towards convicting him. I mean, if you don't know anything about this case and you're still skeptical, this testimony right here from this wife will change your mind, in my opinion. And so, let's check it out so you can let me know what you think.
So I'm Chianne Craven. I live in Denver. Always have. I'm a single mother. I'm in school to be a dentist. And yeah, hello to everybody, because when the first article came out, I was this monster. It was you going down, and I was getting threatened and all this stuff. And it was like, dang, I didn't even get, a chance to, I was seeing comments about me and, statuses about me and memes about me. People was putting me as their profile picture. I'm like, wait a minute. I would love to be famous. Okay, I got the personality for it and all, but this ain't how I want to be famous. So we got to start up. When I got the article, so I was driving down the street and my aunt called me. She lives in Dallas. My aunt was like, what is this article? Blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And I read it and I seen me in it. First of all, of course, I was upset that it was about him, because I'm like, what is this, And I was like, okay, why am I in here? Like, I knew him for 4 months. So we met. He came out to Colorado for a conference that one of my friends were throwing that she booked him for. And at the time, I had just went through like a rocky time with my kid's dad that I was in court with, and I met him, and he was charming. He seemed genuine with me, and from that day we never stopped talking. From April, when I met him, it was more of a like, this is a pastor. Like, first of all, I never messed with no pastor before, so I didn't know nothing about it. I'm newer to the church scene. I go, okay, he's genuine. He don't live here. He's super nice, like, And as time went on, we got close, and I was going back and forth from state to. He would come here, I would go there. It was, doing that. Met his church people, met his kid, met his family. Everything was cool. Until it seemed like, I don't really want to name drop because I'm gonna get them wrong, but some of them past telling him like, oh, you need to hurry up and marry her because it's not okay that y'all are shacking up, or it's not okay that y'all are always together and she's in your church doing stuff but y'all ain't married. That's a disgrace. Like, things of that sort. I didn't want his ministry to be destroyed. I didn't want his church to look at us some type of way when we were together. Then on his end, it just seemed like, and we got engaged fairly quick. We're going to stay engaged for a minute. We're going to have a wedding next year. We're going to just play this out. But, as a pastor, I guess when your covering tells you to do something, you do it. So it turned into a big, like, this is for my ministry type deal. And I just was stuck between a rock and a hard place. I'm not saying I didn't want to do it. I'm not saying that. But there was a part of me that was like, we should wait. And God revealed every reason why. I loved the person that I met, the information that I received. And I hope some of these people are watching. I thought he was 33 when I met him. He told me he was 33. I mean, it doesn't matter. I'm younger than him. He thought he was turning 34 this year, but he turned 35 this year. But I thought he was 33 years old. Me and my kids were supposed to move to North Carolina in January. Yeah, I was about to move out there, leave my whole life, my family, everything. I don't have no family there. I don't know anyone there besides the people that I met. The move didn't happen because the article came out and I was like, okay, what are we finna do? Because if you're telling me this ain't true and all these people, when I tell you, okay, so when the article came out, it was like, bam, all this stuff was happening. I was getting hit up. I was, all this stuff. People started sending me messages and screenshots and videos and cash apps and proof of stuff that I didn't know about. Every time I brought it up, it was, that's not me. That's not me. At first, yeah, I would believe him. I would be like, okay, yeah, I know people fake stuff. And, the situation that he had with the little girl's mom, that was I was in that situation too, the first situation. But me literally sitting there like oblivious, like, oh, I don't care what anybody says. I'm gonna just sit here and believe you because you're not gonna lie to me. You married me. You'll never lie to me. Like, if you're saying that they never been in your bed, they ain't never been in your bed. If you saying you never slept with men, you ain't never slept with men. If you saying that, these people lying on you because you're a pastor and they want your title, yeah, they lying. I'm with you. Whatever they say is a lie. That was me. I was like, who did you piss off to do this? Proof started coming out. It was still me being dumb because I'm like, no way. Oh, you're sending me this? No way. I was not going to let anybody talk about him, and I was not going to let anyone dog him because he was a good person to me. He was a good person. He cared, you know what I'm saying? Until I started getting the real facts and he started showing me like his true colors of like the things how he really felt about me and the things he said to me recently. I'm like, okay, what if I was still dumb and still believing all these, like not believing everybody, but the stuff you're telling my family now these days, the stuff you're posting, I don't even have him on any social media, but of course people are still gonna tell me what they see, stuff you posting about me, stuff you saying about me, and I'm like, wow, it's crazy that you feel that way now. You didn't feel that way just the other day. But I've never known him to be gay, ever. When I met him, he prophesied into my life. He told me, he's so happy I'm with Demiro. He told me that he's his covering, he's his overseer, and, all these things. I just seen like 30 people following him around, so I'm like, oh, he must be the biggest person in North Carolina. Like, when he comes in the room, everybody stands up. So when I met Apostle Dupree at one of his services, he's like, oh, this is my guy. I love him. He's great. You guys are going to do great things in ministry. Like, I'm the covering. If you need anything, call me. Like, so I didn't know anything about him being gay, like none of that. I've never known, nobody ever told me Demiro sleeping with another pastor. They just told me that in his past, he used to like men and then he got delivered from it and he doesn't like men anymore. But they said that he told everybody that he told me this at the beginning of our relationship when I didn't know this until I was getting screenshots of cash apps for dick pics and ass pics. That's how I found out, and he ended up telling me, and I was like, you should have just told me that. Like, why I have to find that out through this article? Like, this is crazy. Like, this is crazy. All these men coming at me like, oh, I used to do this, do that. And, the scares, that scare and all this stuff. I'm like, okay, hold on. Because y'all, like, you could have told me this a long time ago. And all the people that found out that I found out were like, oh, he told us he been told you that. And I'm like, no, that's not how it happened. Before I went through his phone, somebody hacked into his iPad and sent around a whole bunch of stuff to a whole bunch of people. So they went through his iPad, and there was like a gang of, I think you said you got some, I got everything, the mom got everything. Like, there was screenshots of him talking to all these people, blah blah blah. So then he did have his phone here, and when I did get to the phone, it was like, let me bring it real quick. It was like Google searches. Um, I'm sorry, so much. It's ridiculous. There were Google searches like abortion clinics near me. What else? There was porn with like men playing with themselves, and so stuff like that. It was like, it was that kind of stuff. It was legal age of consent was on there. It was what to do when you're being accused of sleeping with a young kid. Like, it was Google searches. And then in the pictures, it was pictures of these girls that he's been accused with. And the other girls that was being sent around, it was pictures of them in there. It was screenshots of like some of the porn stuff. It was, so he deleted his text messages. So the only thing that I had access to was Snapchat, because he went through his phone, deleted all his texts. So on the Snap messages, there was a 16-year-old, and he was telling the 16-year-old, like, be mine or whatever. She's like, now you know we can't date. And he's like, he sends her a screenshot of Google that says legal age of consent is 16. And he goes, actually we can. And she's like, my family's not going to let us date. And he's like, don't tell them till you're 18. That was one Snap thread. Also, like, he would tell her, like, you're just so beautiful and I just wish I could have you. There was another Snap thread with a dude where he was like, I'm on prep and you're good or whatever. And the dude's like, okay, I am too. Like, this was on Snapchat. There was other Snapchats of, like, pretty much some girl was like, I thought I told you not to talk to me because I'm 15. And he was like, let me take care of you. Let me do everything I can do for you. Come to my house. Let me cook for you, clean for you, blah, 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 blah. So that was in the Snap. The Google searches, all that. But the text messages were deleted out his phone, but they weren't deleted out the iPad. So whoever got into the iPad sent around the text messages of the 14-year-old girl that was in middle school, that was saying, like, I'm in middle school. And he was like, okay, let me come pick you up and let me bust it open and blah, 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 blah. And the girl that just had the kid, who he's telling, like, oh, let's do round 2 or blah, 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 blah. And I got you and you can come over here. Let's watch the movies and all this stuff. So, like, between the phone and the iPad, it was like the little girl, he was messaging the little girl, like, he would tell the little girl, like, what you doing? And she's like, babysitting. And he's like, can you come outside? And she's like, no, my mom ain't gonna let me come outside. And he's like, you playing. But yeah, so he was basically telling her, let me come get you from school, take you home, you got rehearsal, tell your family you're not going to practice, and I'm gonna come get you, blah, 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 blah. And so I asked him about that. That wasn't him. So I'm like, okay, cool. Whatever. No. I said that wrong. When I asked him about that, this was when he's already getting accused of all this stuff. I had already talked to the detective. The detective had contacted me, let me know, hey, there's no warrant, but he's under investigation and I can't talk. She told me she can't talk to me because I'm a person of interest. I think that was the word she used. Because we're married, so she couldn't talk to me about the case until she talked to everybody on the other side. Her exact words were, you're a person of interest because you guys are married. And even when I told her I was in the process of divorce, she was like, well, I can't speak to you until after, we test and do all this and do all that. So I was like, okay, cool. So I haven't talked to her. All this time has gone by. And she ended up calling me back. And she was like, well, I can talk to you briefly. We are looking for him to take a test once the baby's born. And if he's with you, that's a problem because that means you're hiding a fugitive at that point and you can go to jail. And I was like, I promise you he's not here. And I was like, if you need any information from me, I'm willing to talk to you because I'm not going down for that. So then, about 2 weeks ago, she let me know that, he contacted her and said he was willing to, no, not the detective, the mom. I guess he contacted the mom, said, let's take a DNA test while the girl's pregnant. And the mom's like, we're not finna interrupt her pregnancy because you want to do something weird. And they didn't do that. But now that the baby was born, the detective called me last weekend and was like, hello, the baby's been born. If you know where he is to take this test, let me know because we're trying to get this test done. And pretty much I let her know, I can tell you that he's not with me. He's in Georgia, but I don't know how to make him take no test. So he supposedly is saying that the family don't want him to take no test now and that they found another person that's the dad of the kid, which I know is not true. I said, is there another person? She's like, no, absolutely not. Yeah, so it went from never, ever, that's my goddaughter, that didn't happen, to, it could possibly be that, but anybody would have been in that situation if they were in my shoes. So pretty much like if they were around her, any man that would be around her would have been stuck in that situation, would have had sex with her. And I'm like, any man I ask would they have sex with a kid would say no. Like what man would be like, well, if I was horny and wanted some, I would definitely, no, it's not happening. So when I announced to everyone, like, I'm done, I'm cool, like, I'm not staying with him, I need y'all to understand that, like, I'm not, because it was attack, you knew, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I definitely didn't know. When I found out, he definitely got kicked out of my house. He definitely ended up in Georgia or North Carolina or whichever state he went to first. And it was he was blocked on everything, still is to this day. And he continued to just have people reach out to me. So I had pastors calling me, oh, you need to not leave him. You need to stay with him. You need to stick by his side. Don't divorce him. Divorce is a sin. God doesn't look upon divorce. And if you want to be blessed in your life, you wouldn't sin against God. He had his family calling me, and I would explain to his family, like, what would y'all stay with y'all's husband if this is what was going on? Like, would y'all stay with your husband if you knew that he was messing with kids and all that? And they're like, well, it would be a process. No, that's not fair to say. Like, everybody that he would have contact me would literally tell me, and you're only doing this because everybody's telling you to do this, and you don't want to leave him, and you want to stay with him, and that you're only doing this because of peer pressure. And it's like, no, that's not why. It was a series of lies. And when I found out that this was true, that he had actually slept with her, that this was true, and he's even posting on his own Facebook that he slept with this girl. Even before he was doing that, I had already left, but now come to find out recently, he's posting on Facebook, oh, I'm not going down by myself, I guess, and posting the little girl in her bra and just doing the most. And I'm like, and this is what y'all want me to stick to. This is what y'all want me to stay with. And this is what everybody is attacking me because I'm leaving, telling me I'm wrong for leaving, telling me I'm wrong for all of this stuff. My whole thing is, when I did leave and when he ended up back in North Carolina, I was getting attacked for putting him out my house. People was calling me like, and you better give him back everything he ever gave you, and you better pay him back everything he ever paid you. And it's like, y'all are joking. And these pastors that would be like, I'm praying for you, but you need to go to counseling. Y'all need counseling, and y'all could be together. Y'all need counseling, and y'all can stay together and make this work. This was his past. This isn't him now. Everything that you're seeing is in the past, so why are you punishing him now? And it's like, so y'all telling me if y'all was in my shoes, y'all would have stayed. Y'all would have wrote it out. Ain't no way. You know what? I can just go to it and read. He said, she said, you mad at me? He said, no, not mad at all. You're probably not sexually active. Your pussy probably ain't even fat, LOL. I don't want to be rude and be like, no, I guess he said, hold on, because they're out of order. They sent him to me out of order. He had to say something like, your mom's not going to let you come outside or something, because he ended up saying, I didn't want to be rude and be like, look, I want to your daughter. Then the girl said, that would have been disrespectful. As he said, LOL, but I want to eat you. But you ain't never had that done. She said, no, because I'm a good child. He said, got you. Well, I'm trying to turn you into a little freak. Yeah, there was a couple of people that were like, you should make sure that you good and, blah, 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 because, he has it or he takes medicine or something. So I've been good testing, doing all that good stuff. But yeah, he told my dad, like, make sure your daughter gets tested and blah, 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 which is just like beyond crazy, because if you don't have it, why would you say that to my dad? And then why would other people be saying it? And I did see he showed me his medical records, but it showed that he was negative for chlamydia, gonorrhea, and trick, and that he was negative for having like a UTI or something. It didn't say what he tested for. They just didn't test him for it. But he showed me that to say, why would they say I have HIV? I'm like, well, it don't say nothing about HIV on this paper, because I got to go get tested constantly now just from allegations. I have yet to meet someone that says they have it from him, but I've heard people saying like, oh, my cousin said, or oh, my uncle said, and that's enough. That's all I need to hear. If we in the mall and somebody announces on the intercom, I'm finna shoot the mall up, I'm not going to sit there and wait. I'm outside, because I'm not going to be there when it happened. Getting the allegation that he had it made me go do what I did. And it was for more than one person, which also is crazy.
Wow, now that's a lot, y'all. But even after all of this, you wouldn't believe that around the time that he put out that disgusting video that I showed you earlier, he posted this address on his Facebook page, which has since been deleted. But if you think what he allegedly did to this child and this woman are as low down as he could get, well, I'll tell you to think again. Because you will remember that I mentioned in the beginning that there were allegations that he had allegedly engaged in gay sexual activities with other men, and that he allegedly transmitted the HIV/AIDS disease to others. And so, let's check out this part of the evidentiary record.
Okay, October 2008. I'm basically went to High Point, met Demiro Johnson. We had sex, whatever. I came back home. Me and him kept in touch, talking every day. Nothing was out of the ordinary with me. He just basically was talking to me one minute, and then he like ghosted me the next. After that, I just didn't pay no attention to it. We just stopped talking because I ended up going back into my relationship. But I never had sex with nobody besides Demiro. So I ended up getting my car January 2019. Right after that, I ended up getting put in the hospital with pneumonia. And it came back that I had HIV, and they asked me, did I know? And I told them that I didn't know because I've been tested previously back in September right after my birthday, and I was negative. So they was like, do you have any idea where it could have come from? I said, well, I only had sex with one person in the last 2-3 months, which was Demiro. So they was like, are you better? Are you sure? I said, yes, ma'am. But I was like, are y'all sure that I'm positive? So when I basically went to the health department first. They told me I was positive. I went to the hospital. They told me I was positive. Then I made a doctor's appointment. They told me I was positive because I couldn't believe it. Like I was shocked to tell that I had HIV. So I kept asking him, and every time I would bring up the subject about it, he just kept pushing me off, yelling at me, fussing at me, saying it was him, saying that he had other things going on, that he had to focus on getting his church together and all this other weird shit. So I was like, okay, so if it's not you, then I just don't know where the fuck it came from. So I let this shit slide. I didn't say nothing about it. I didn't get angry about it. When I found out I had it, I just kind of do it on my own because I didn't really have anybody to confide into but my parents and a few of my friends and my aunt. When Demiro finally decided to tell me the truth was when we got back together at the end of that year around Christmas time of 2019. He said it all nonchalantly while we was upstairs in the basement of his mama's house, basically. He said it all nonchalantly. And then he proceeded to tell me that he was marrying this girl and they were going to have kids together. I was so lost because he made it seem like this woman that he was marrying was never going to be nothing but a surrogate. And he was so adamant about it being me, him, and Brooklyn, his daughter. So when I first seen on Facebook him posting First Lady something of his church, I was lost as hell because excuse my language, but I felt kind of disrespected and low down. Like, first of all, I had HIV. He was the only source. He told me he had it, and then on top of this, now you getting married to this woman, this girl, whatever fool. I basically stopped talking to Demiro. I didn't him anymore. I didn't call him. I didn't answer none of his call texts. I got Facebook messages, calls, texts, tweets of him constantly blowing up, pulling up to my stepmom and my dad's house. After the fact that we found out how HIV, trying to talk, trying to communicate with me, when he claiming that when this is the whole time where I'm guessing he's married to this woman, that he's still coming to see me, still trying to come in me and all this other stuff, buying hotel rooms and getting me to come stay the night with him in a hotel room, picking me up. I was 20 years old when I met this man. He turned within a few months of dating him, he turned my life from being okay and stable to going through hell and being sick every other month and having pneumonia. I finally became undetectable at the beginning of 2020 in March. I just basically picked up and left home after that. I did that because every time I would tell somebody about the story or about him, and they would go to his Facebook page and they would say all this stuff, they'd be like, "Oh, that can't be true. He's a pastor. He's married. He has this. He has that." And I was like, "Yeah, that's the part about it. I never knew that this man had a wife. I never knew that this woman that I'm looking at right now was this so-called love of his life because I thought that was me. So to find out that he had them block me and got his whole wall, that was some weird shit. She told me the first lady, baby, I was the one that was out here suffering before you, and then he left me to go be with you. Baby, I was not about to be over no church, and that was the main issue with him. I don't know what he wanted, but I was never okay with the... No, bitch, no.
This is a man talking, right?
This is a man. This is a gay male.
Yes, babe, I'm 25 now. Yeah, he was the last known source. I hadn't had sex with nobody within the year of 2018. And I've been tested. I had been tested twice previously before him. See, this woman that I'm looking at was supposed to be the surrogate of his daughter. That's what I'm lost as hell about. When I first seen the post, my aunt had sent it to me because she knew who he was. My whole family knows who he is. So I got sent the post from multiple people, not just my aunt. So when I seen the post about her daughter, I felt bad, but
around him before he met his baby.
When I tried to contact her,
you was messing with him before he had his kid.
Baby, before he had his kid,
I'm only asking for the HIV. Because his baby mom and his kid have been getting tested since she was born. So we got to make sure we on top of this shit. That's what I'm asking.
Before he had Brooklyn, I was messing with him. When the girl was pregnant with Brooklyn, I was messing with him. After it, when he was trying to make it all better, I was messing with that man.
Wow. So the baby mama was supposed to be the surrogate, or he said I was supposed to be the surrogate?
He said whoever was carrying the child was supposed to be the surrogate, but we were supposed to be an actual family, me and him. That's when I found out about whoever the he was, not being rude. That threw me for a loop. Because that made you number 3, number 4. Number 3, number 4, because I'm number 1, well, second. Because if there was another one before me, I'm number 2. And you mean to tell me that he never said nothing about him ever having HIV, never being tested, nobody ever else thought of it. I was 20 years old when I met this man, and when I met him, he had these like dread things in his head, or some dreads or whatever, some type thing like that. But no, I did not, and I've been a product of rape. I was raped by my uncle, but I never picked up any. I agree with her. I never picked up any of those signs because it was about having kids, having a family. He never portrayed it, which I guess I should have probably thought about it. But me being 19, 20, looking for love in any other man I could find, that's what happened. That's why I don't blame him for me having HIV, because I did say yes to us having sex. But what I blame him for is that the fact that he did it so irresponsibly, and that 20 years old, my life changed forever. It'll never be the same. And I never trust another man the way I put trust in him. So it's just,
I was questioning. You was him when I was around, like when I was with him? Like recently, like this year?
I have not messed with that. I have not messed with that man since the end of 2020. I have not messed with that man since the end of 2020, baby.
Not having sex, but like he was still trying to talk to you and all that stuff?
Baby, he has tried to communicate with me ever since I've been undetectable at the end of 2020. He has tried to communicate with me. I'm not beat over this man. I'm just letting you know.
I'm just trying to listen. Everything helps me out in court. My whole thing is, he told me he was delivered. He didn't mess with me no more. Ever since 2019. So that's why I'm like, well, it don't matter. Like,
let me ask you a question. This is not against any gay.
I'm not hurt. I'm not hurt. I'm just getting information from.
Do you really think it's okay for a gay man to stand in the church and say that he's delivered, knowing damn well he's going to get ate out, sucked, and everything else, okay? Do you really think there's any blessing on that church? Do you really think that, baby? Do you really think, how far do you think he was going to get in life?
Now, wow. Now, if y'all don't think this is something else, then I don't know what is. I mean, we have a 15-year-old child, her baby, an unsuspecting wife, and another individual who have to suffer with thoughts of being used and abused by this guy and having to go through constant testing and medical treatment as a result. I just think it is the most dirty and low-down thing a person could do, especially in a so-called church. And if you can believe it, just a few weeks ago, before he was arrested, thank God, in Atlanta, he was still posting on TikTok as if somebody would actually let him come to their church and preach. But as y'all know on here, I just ask and report, and I let the saints decide. And so, what do you think about this mess? Because one question still remains unanswered in my legal investigation of this case. And so, do you think that the investigation of law enforcement officials has determined that Demiro Johnson is the father of the child's baby? And do you think Demiro Johnson's soon-to-be ex-wife, the child, and her baby have contracted any diseases, including HIV/AIDS, as a result of being connected to this low-down dirty dog of a man? Please let me know by leaving your comments in the comment section below. And I hope you'll also give me a big thumbs up. And I hope you'll also consider donating to this video and my entire channel ministry by clicking the super thanks heart button below. And I hope you'll also consider subscribing to my YouTube channel and click the bell, honey child, so you'll be notified whenever I come back with more hot tea on this case. And please also follow me on TikTok and Instagram.